Dawn bleeds slowly across the sky, a pale, exhausted light stretching itself over the train yard like a wounded animal. Frost clings to the rails. The air smells of coal ash, cold iron, and something faintly sweet. Maybe the last traces of apples crushed beneath boots days ago. A thin mist drifts, curling around the boots of the marching column like it's trying to hide their hands, their faces, their shame. The women walk in silence. Dozens of them, German auxiliary nurses, clerks, radio operators, each wrapped in a coat that no longer holds warmth. Their breaths puff in uneven bursts. Some carry satchels with trembling fingers. Some clutch nothing but the edges of their coats, hands white with cold. One woman, Marta, grips a small leather-bound notebook against her chest as if it were a shield. The Americans shouted for them to move, but not harshly, not cruelly, just, firmly. That alone unsettles them more than any blow could have. Ahead the train waits, a dark, hulking shape, its windows blank as shuttered eyes. The women's boots crunch over frozen gravel. Every step echoes like a verdict. Anna stumbles. She's 19, too young to have the lines etched around her mouth, too young to have eyes that look so old. She catches herself swallowing hard. She doesn't cry. She hasn't cried since the night the factory burned. Beside her, Liesel leans close and whispers, "Do you think they'll separate us?" Anna shakes her head, though she has no idea. Her throat feels tight. The propaganda posters return unbidden grotesque caricatures, shadowy figures with wide teeth and monstrous grins, enemy soldiers, they had been told, savages, inhuman, capable of anything. Her hands won't stop shaking. A whistle blares. Sharp, metallic, final. The American guards shift. One of them shoves open a boxcar door, the hinges moaning. Inside, he calls out. His accent stretches the word into something softer, something unfamiliar. It sets the women even more on edge. Anna moves forward. She presses the diary closer to her ribs, feeling its corners bite into her palm. She can't let go of it. It's the only piece of her old life she still recognizes. Her feet reach the wooden steps, slick with frost. She hesitates, and then she sees him. At first, he's only a silhouette, broad shoulders, tall stance, breath steaming in the air like smoke. As he steps nearer, the dawn lifts enough to reveal the shape of his face, the deep brown of his skin, the dark curve of his jawline. A black American soldier. Anna's breath leaves her. Behind her, some of the women gasp softly. Instinctive, sharp little sounds they don't even seem aware of. Liesel grabs Anna's wrist as if grounding herself from falling. No one speaks. No one dares. Fear ripples through the group like a gust of cold wind. They had been prepared to meet the enemy. They had not been prepared for this. The soldier doesn't look at them with hatred. He doesn't bare his teeth. He doesn't shout. He doesn't touch his weapon. His expression is unreadably calm, almost tired. He simply says, "Keep moving, you're safe." Safe. The word seems to suck all the air from the world. Anna feels something break inside her, quietly, like a thread snapped by cold fingers. Safe. How could he say that? Why would he say that? The word doesn't match the face she was taught to fear. It doesn't match the image hammered into her since childhood. It's wrong. It's impossible. It's terrifying. Her boots slip slightly as she climbs. Her mind feels slippery too, thoughts scrambling, trying to realign themselves with this impossible reality. Inside the car, the cold is sharp enough to sting her nose. Straw lines the floor. The other women file in behind her, murmuring, hiding their faces, gripping each other's sleeves. Their breaths fill the space with a faint fog. Anna settles against the wall, hugging her diary to her heart. She keeps seeing his face, the deep brown of his skin, the quiet steadiness in his eyes, the way he said safe as if he meant it. Nothing in her world, nothing she knew, nothing she believed, had prepared her for a moment like that. Fear coils inside her stomach like a living thing, but wrapped around it, strangely, unbearably, is something else, confusion, wonder, and the smallest, most fragile spark of doubt in all she'd been told. She doesn't know whether to cling to it or crush it. The train jolts, the doors slam shut, swallowing them into darkness. But even with the light gone, she still sees him, burned into her thoughts like an imprint left by staring too close at the sun. She whispers into her diary, not yet opening it, just pressing her lips to the leather. What else have they lied about? The wheels begin to turn. The train moans through the frozen landscape like an old animal too tired to live but too stubborn to die. Every turn of the wheels sends a vibration through the wooden walls, rattling straw, trembling fingers, and already frayed nerves. The women sit pressed shoulder to shoulder, their breaths a thin mist rising to the low ceiling. Marta huddles closest to the narrow slit of a window where a thread of dim morning light slips in. Her fingers are bluish with cold, yet she keeps wiping the glass, trying to see outside. Frost creeps back each time, reclaiming the surface like a slow, patient enemy. Liesel leans her head against the wall, eyes closed. It sounds like we're being swallowed. She whispers, like the earth wants us. Anna doesn't answer. She opens her diary on her lap. The train shudders violently, making her pencil scratch a crooked line across the page. She stares at the blankness, heart racing. Words should come easily, fear, uncertainty, shock, but she can't shape any of them. She feels hollow and overfilled at the same time. Propaganda posters flash in her memory like scenes from a fever dream. Black American soldiers are monsters, uncivilized, dangerous, cruel. In one poster, a soldier with dark skin loomed over a map of Europe, grotesquely exaggerated, teeth bared, claws extended. Anna remembers how schoolchildren stared at that image with wide, obedient fear. She remembers teachers whispering that certain enemies were worse than others, less than human, barbaric, unpredictable. And yet the man at the train yard did not bare his teeth or snarl. He did not hit. He did not even raise his voice. He said, "You're safe." The memory stings some. How? Like something tender being touched too soon. The train jerks again. A few women gasp and clutch the walls. One of the older clerks, Frau Elber, mutters a prayer under her breath, her rosary beads clicking softly like insects tapping at glass. Where are they taking us? Someone whispers from the shadows, to a camp. Another replies. Always a camp, but what kind? Silence, the kind of silence that is worse than any answer. Outside, the world is a shifting smear of white and grace. No, covered fields, clusters of skeletal trees, the ruins of farmhouses bombed into piles of broken memories. Now and then, the smoke of a village drifts across the horizon, a thin black smear against the pale sky. Germany is dying out there. Anna feels it like a weight on the back of her skull. Do you think the Americans will treat us like we treated them? Marta asks softly. No one answers. They don't know. And the not knowing is a sharper terror than anything their imaginations can conjure. The train begins to climb a hill, the engine groaning. The car fills with a deeper cold, seeping through the planks like liquid. Anna tucks her hands under her arms, but the chill finds her anyway. A dull ache pulses behind her eyes. She tries writing again. We saw one today. She starts, the pencil trembling, not like the pictures, not like the stories. I don't know what to think. She stops. Reads it, crosses it out. Too dangerous, too honest. She flips the page, pressing the pencil so lightly that the words barely exist. I don't understand the world anymore. She closes the diary. Across from her, two women whisper urgently. They say the Americans don't want to keep us long. They say we're just for exchange. They say they're deciding who will be interrogated. About what? About everything. The train whistles long and mournfully. Wind pushes through a crack in the wall, carrying the scent of pine needles and something metallic, like old blood. Anna inhales sharply. She thinks of home, of her mother's kitchen that always smelled faintly of rye and steam, of the chipped blue mug she used each morning, of the small radio on the shelf where announcements crackled like distant thunder. She thinks of the factory she worked in, the endless hum of machinery, the taste of dust on her tongue, the nights she walked home alone under blackout skies. She thinks of the moment soldiers arrived and told them to pack bags. You're needed elsewhere, they had said, but the fear in their eyes suggested otherwise. The train slows, everyone stiffens. Through the sliver of window, Marta sees movement shadows crossing a snowy platform, the faint outline of another regiment of American soldiers. Their uniforms blend with the frost and steam, their breath clouds rising like tiny ghosts. What if? Liesel swallows. What if those are the dangerous ones? Anna doesn't answer. Her heartbeat thuds painfully in her throat. The train stops. Boots crunch outside. Voices rise. Deep, confident, foreign. A door slams. Another. Something metallic clinks. Then the latch of their boxcar rattles. Marta gasps. Frau Elber's rosary freezes midair. The door slides open, spilling them into the cold white glare of daylight, and standing on the platform, all quiet, steady, is another black American soldier. Anna's breath breaks again, but this time something in her doesn't collapse. Something leans forward. A dangerous curiosity blooms in the shadow of her fear. The cold on the platform feels different from the cold inside the train, sharper, cleaner, almost bright. It cuts through the women as they step down, forcing them to squint against the glare reflecting off the snow. The station isn't a station anymore, but a makeshift military checkpoint. Sandbags piled like frozen waves, wires strung between posts, guard towers rising like watchful sentinels. American soldiers move back and forth with brisk, efficient confidence. Some carry crates, some inspect logs, some smoke cigarettes that trail thin ribbons of gray into the air, and then, among them the women notice the dark-skinned soldiers. 3 of them stand near the unloading area, boots planted wide, jackets open, letting out warm breaths like plumes of steam. Their presence radiates a quiet authority, not aggressive, not looming, just solid, grounded, a kind of strength that needs no performance. The German women freeze. Their bodies remember the propaganda before their minds do. Liesel's knees almost give out. Marta clutches Anna's sleeve so tightly her knuckles turn white. Somewhere behind them, one woman begins whispering a prayer, lips trembling too hard to form the words. One of the soldiers approaches, a tall man with a soft wool scarf tucked neatly beneath his coat. His skin is deep and rich as polished chestnut. The sun glances off it with a warm glow that shocks Anna for its simple beauty. She had never been taught to associate beauty with the enemy. He raises one gloved hand. "Step forward, ladies. Slowly, you're all right." His voice is low, measured, as if speaking to frightened children or wounded animals. Anna's heart thunders painfully. You're all right. Why does he keep saying that? What game is this? What tactic? What trap? He bends slightly to help one woman down from the train, offering his hand. She recoils instinctively, stumbling backward, nearly falling. A flicker of hurt passes across his face, quick, subtle, but unmistakable. He withdraws his hand gently, without offense. "Take your time," he says quietly. That small expression, that tiny human flash of emotion, shakes Anna more than anything yet. Hurt. The posters never gave them hurt. They gave them rage, brutality, bloodlust. Not this. Not humanity. A cold wind sweeps across the platform. The women shiver violently. An officer barks orders in English. They don't understand the words, only the tone, sharp but not hateful. 2 soldiers begin handing out small packages wrapped in brown paper. Food. One of the Americans explains, "Eat slow. If you've been underfed, your stomach needs time." A German woman, thin as winter branches, tears hers open with trembling fingers. A smell floats out that makes her eyes widen. Something sweet, warm, almost creamy. Peanut butter. The scent is foreign, rich, impossible. Anna stares as the woman lifts a small spoonful to her mouth. Her lips quiver, her eyes fill instantly with tears. Mein Gott. She whispers, voice cracking. What is this?" A black soldier overhears. He smiles faintly. "Just food, ma'am." The woman shakes her head, unable to speak. Anna can see the conflict in her eyes. Gratitude so overwhelming it feels like pain. Anna opens her own package. Inside lies a thick slice of bread. Real bread, pale golden, soft at the edges, smelling faintly of yeast and warmth. Not the gray, crumbling rations she's grown used to. Not the bitter substitute, flowers that tasted of dust. This bread is from another world, Her stomach clenches so hard she nearly doubles over. She takes the smallest bite. It is warm against her tongue, tender, almost melting. She closes her eyes and for a moment, just a moment, she isn't a prisoner. She is home, in her mother's kitchen, the radio humming, sunlight pooling on the table. When she opens her eyes again, the black soldier is watching her, not intensely, not possessively, but with a kind sort of curiosity. "Good?" he asks. Anna's throat tightens. She wants to answer. She cannot. Her voice has abandoned her. She nods instead. His smile grows. Good. The simplicity of the exchange stuns her. No cruelty. No threat. No gloating. Just a man checking whether another human being had enough to eat. Liesel leans close, voice trembling. "Anna, they're not supposed to be like this." Anna doesn't answer. She can't. Because inside her chest, behind the fear, behind the shock, behind years of indoctrinated terror, something new has begun to flutter. It feels fragile. It feels dangerous. It feels like truth. Nearby, another group of women huddle around a bucket of warm water. For washing, an American guard explains. A black soldier kneels beside it, dipping his hand into the bucket to test the temperature. The steam rises around him like a gentle fog. He looks up at the women and says, softly, "It's warm, doesn't bite." His joke is mild. Harmless, but it breaks something in them. A few women laugh. Small, nervous, shaky sounds. But laughter nonetheless. Real laughter. Anna presses a hand to her mouth, stunned. The world feels upside down. She reaches for a bar of soap floating in the water. It is white, thick, heavy in the hand. It smells faintly of flowers. Something catches in her throat. The soap is too beautiful, too clean, too gentle. It is the opposite of everything she expected, and in that moment, holding a simple bar of soap, Anna realizes she is witnessing something far more terrifying than cruelty. She is witnessing kindness, and kindness, to the indoctrinated, is a far more devastating weapon. The camp is not what they expected. The gates are tall, yes, topped with wire that curls like frozen vines. The guard towers watch with unblinking patience. But inside those walls, nothing matches the stories. The women had braced for mud, filth, cruelty. Dungeons disguised as barracks. Instead, they find long wooden huts swept clean, smelling faintly of pine and machine oil. Cots lined in neat rows, blankets folded with military precision. An American flag flutters quietly above the compound, its colors startling against the winter sky. When Anna steps inside her assigned hut, she stops beneath the doorway. There are windows, real ones with glass. Sunlight slips through the panes and pools across the floor in soft, honey-colored strips. She stands in it without meaning to, letting the warmth touch her skin like a hand she didn't know she missed. Liesel sinks onto her cot and whispers, "This is nicer than my room at home." Her voice cracks on the last word, home, and she turns away quickly. Marta runs her fingers along the blanket. It smells of soap. She murmurs, "How? How can even a blanket smell clean? Nothing at home smells clean anymore." Anna says nothing. She feels a kind of ache, a deep, bruising ache in the part of her heart that remembers the ruins of her town. Outside, someone calls out something in English. A bell clangs. The women are herded toward a line forming near the mess hall. The building is warm, steam leaking from the windows, carrying smells none of them recognize. The smell of plenty. Anna's stomach contracts painfully, as if preparing itself for disappointment. Inside, the shock is immediate. Food, so much food. Lines of stainless steel trays hold mashed potatoes piled like soft white hills, bright green beans glistening with butter, slabs of meat that steam when cut, corn kernels golden as summer fields, and bread. Real bread. Dozens of loaves stacked in wicker baskets, as if abundance were normal, as if war were something that happened far away to someone else. Liesel grabs Anna's hand. "This can't be real." But it is real. An American cook, wide-shouldered and weary-eyed, nods toward their tin trays. "Next," he says, not unkindly, not with contempt. Anna steps forward. A black soldier stands behind the food line, holding a ladle. His expression is neutral, businesslike, as he serves spoonful after spoonful, but when Anna reaches him, he hesitates for the smallest moment, long enough to truly see her. Then he adds an extra scoop to her tray. Her breath catches, his eyes flicker. Not with dominance, not with mockery, but with something frighteningly gentle. "You look hungry," he says. Anna's throat closes. She nods, unable to speak. He motions to her boots. "Watch that slick spot over there. Tile's wet." He's warning her, protecting her from a fall. She walks away in a quiet daze, clutching the tray like an artifact robbed from another world. The women sit together at a long table. Liesel stares at her food as if it might vanish. Do we eat?" she whispers slowly. Marta reminds them, "Our bodies aren't used to this." But hunger doesn't understand restraint. When Anna takes her first bite of mashed potatoes, she almost sobs. They're creamy, warm, real. Nothing like the chalky, tasteless rations she grew used to. Each bite is a reminder of a world she had never seen, but always been told was decadent, corrupt, inferior. How could a corrupt nation feed its prisoners like honored guests? She eats slowly, but every swallow feels like a betrayal. That afternoon, the women are escorted outside. The snow glitters beneath the sun like crushed diamonds. In the distance, a truck rumbles, bringing supplies. Wooden crates stacked in the back. Sugar, flour, coffee, oranges, their bright skins glowing like small suns. Anna stares as an American soldier casually tosses an orange from one hand to the other. She can't remember the last time she held a fruit that wasn't bruised or rationed down to a thin slice. He notices her staring. He tosses the orange to her. She fumbles, catches it awkwardly, breath sharp in her throat. "For you," he says simply. She turns the fruit in her hands. The skin is cool, textured, faintly fragrant. She holds it as if it might crumble. Liesel touches her arm and whispers, "That's worth a fortune at home." Anna knows. And that knowledge sits heavy, a stone pressing down on her ribs. Later, back in the hut, Marta writes in her diary, whispering each word without meaning to, "Everything they told us is breaking." Anna doesn't write. She can't. She lies awake in her cot, staring at the ceiling where lamplight flickers in soft golden waves. Outside, she hears laughter, American laughter, mingled with the distant rumble of a generator. And somewhere beyond that, she hears one of the black soldiers humming a tune, slow, warm, strangely comforting. A melody she doesn't know and yet feels drawn to. She feels something inside her shifting, something unstable, dangerous. She had prepared herself for cruelty. She had braced for brutality. But this steady, unassuming kindness, this dignity, cuts deeper. "You're all right." It echoes again in her mind. A world built on lies is collapsing inside her, one gentle gesture at a time. Night in the camp feels too quiet, too gentle. The barracks glow with dim yellow bulbs that flicker softly like tired fireflies. Outside, snow falls in slow, deliberate flakes, gathering along the edges of the windowsill. It feels like a world paused, not war, not peace, just the empty breath in between. Anna lies awake long after the others drift into restless sleep. She watches the shadows move across the ceiling as the stove crackles in the corner. Each pop of wood echoes in the silence, a reminder that warmth exists here in a way it no longer does at home. She turns in her cot, clutching her blanket. This place confuses her. This place frightens her. Because nothing here matches the world she was raised in. At dawn, mail arrives. The Americans hand out envelopes with mechanical efficiency. Some letters are opened by trembling fingers before the soldier even finishes speaking. Others are clutched to chests like lifelines. Anna receives nothing, neither does Liesel, neither does Marta, but Frau Elber does. Her hands shake so violently the envelope nearly slips from her fingers. She sits on the cot, back straight, and unfolds the paper with the reverence one would give a holy relic. Her voice breaks on the first sentence. "They've lost the house." She whispers, "The roof collapsed. My sister. She hasn't been seen since the fire." The room stills around her. The stove crackles. Wind taps the window. Somewhere outside, a distant engine hums. Frau Elber presses the letter to her face, letting silent tears soak into the paper. The guilt is suffocating. The shame is thick enough to taste. How can they sleep under a roof and eat warm food while their families sift through rubble? Liesel turns away. It feels wrong. She murmurs, everything here feels wrong. Marta shakes her head. No, it feels unreal, like a dream we don't deserve. Anna doesn't speak. She stares at her empty hands, listening to the faint hum of an American generator outside. That hum itself feels like an accusation. A world with electricity, with food, with warmth, with men who treat them with dignity. Who are they, these men? Who are we? The questions coil inside her like snakes. Later that day, the women are sent to a work detail near the main supply depot. Snow crunches under their boots as they move in a neat line, breath rising in ragged clouds. The sky hangs low, heavy with thick gray clouds. An American sergeant calls instructions. Most women don't understand the words, but the gestures are clear enough. Move crates, stack linens, sort medical supplies. There, among the workers, stands Corporal Harris, the tall black soldier from the platform. His presence radiates a peculiar calm, steady, warm, unforced. He moves with quiet efficiency, lifting boxes as if they weigh nothing. Snow lands on his shoulders and melts instantly. Anna tries not to look at him, but she does, and he notices. During a break, the women gather around a small stove that hisses like an irritated cat. Steam trails into the cold air. An American medic offers them tin cups of something hot. Coffee, real coffee. Its smell is intoxicating. Bitter, rich, alive. Anna wraps her hands around the cup, the rising warmth spreading through her numb fingers. She lifts it slowly to her lips and inhales. The scent alone fractures her chest with memories of her father's small garden shed, where he kept a jar of precious imported coffee grounds, rationed to a teaspoon per month. She drinks. The taste hits her like a wave, dark, deep, crackling with unfamiliar complexity. Her eyes sting. She isn't sure why. A voice speaks gently beside her, too strong. She startles. Corporal Harris stands just a step away, his arms folded loosely, breath rising in soft plumes. His tone is mild, almost teasing. No, Anna manages. It's good. He nods. You look like you could use it. She lowers her gaze quickly, embarrassed by how seen she feels. Harris studies the snow for a moment, then says quietly, war's hell for everyone. I figure a warm drink can take the edge off at least for a minute. His words linger in the cold air, a simple kindness. A simple truth, but the simplicity makes it more unbearable. Anna's voice is barely audible. Why are you being kind to us? He looks at her, not as an enemy, not as a German, but simply as a human being, in a way she is completely unprepared for. Because cruelty's cheap, he says, anyone can do it. He shrugs. Doesn't take much strength to hurt someone, but being decent, that's harder, that's real work. The words bruise her. They bruise her because they are so at odds with everything she was taught. They bruise her because they feel true. They bruise her because they expose a terrifying possibility that the enemy might be more righteous than those who claimed to protect her. After work detail, the women walk back in silence, each lost in her private turmoil. Snow falls thicker now, muffling footsteps, softening the world. Back inside the barracks, Anna sits with her diary. Everything feels upside down. She writes, every kindness unsettles me more than cruelty would. If they hated us, I could understand it. If they hurt us, I could endure it. But this breaks me. She stops, closes her eyes, breathes. Who am I? She writes, if the world I believed in was never real. The pen shakes in her hand. She presses her forehead to the page, suddenly, overwhelmingly exhausted. Outside, Corporal Harris's laughter carries faintly on the night wind as he talks with fellow soldiers. A warm, human sound, a sound that shatters another piece of the foundation she once thought unshakable. Inside her chest, identity fractures, loyalties blur, truth splits open like a wound. Who are they becoming? She doesn't know, but she knows this. There is no going back. Snowmelt drips from the barrack roof like slow beads of time. The scent of thawing earth mingles with the faint aroma of coffee drifting from the mess hall. Spring is arriving in small, reluctant breaths. Inside the hut, the women sit on their cots, speaking in low murmurs or writing in diaries with stiff fingers. Something in the air feels restless, unsettled, like a story that has reached its turning point but hasn't yet been told its ending. Anna smooths the pages of her diary, brow furrowed. She has been writing more, too much, perhaps. Her handwriting has changed, too, less sharp, less certain. She hardly recognizes it. When the door bursts open, a gust of warmish air follows, along with an American lieutenant. His steps are crisp, purposeful. The murmurs die instantly. "Ladies," he announces, voice echoing in the quiet room, "prepare your belongings. In 24 hours you will be transported for repatriation." He pauses, letting the word settle like dust. "You're going home, home." The word lands with the weight of stone. For a long moment, no one moves, no one breathes. It is Liesel who finally whispers it out loud, as if testing a language she no longer remembers. "Home." Marta covers her mouth, eyes wide and wet. Frau Elber clutches her rosary to her chest. Someone laughs weakly, someone else sobs. Anna feels nothing, not relief, not joy, not fear, just a strange, hollow quiet inside her. The lieutenant nods briskly, tips his cap, and leaves them in stunned silence. The barracks erupt moments later, voices full of nervous energy, hands trembling as they pack. One woman kneels beside her cot, thanking God for delivering her from the unknown. Another whispers about seeing her brother again, if he still lives. But Anna stands frozen beside her bed, fingers resting on the diary's cover. Returning home suddenly feels like walking backward into a life she no longer recognizes. Liesel brushes past her, stuffing socks into a satchel. "Anna, aren't you excited?" Anna forces a smile. "Yes, of course." But her voice is thin, her heart unsteady. Outside, the last snow of the season glitters beneath a pale sun as the women gather for their final duties. The air smells of melting ice and distant pine, an odd mix of endings and beginnings. Corporal Harris is there, directing a supply unload. Anna's chest tightens at the sight of him. He catches her looking and lifts a hand in greeting, a small, easy gesture that feels like sunlight. She steps forward before she can talk herself out of it. "You heard?" he asks, his tone gentle, "about going back?" She nods, "Yes, must feel good." She hesitates, I'm not sure." His brows lift slightly. Not mocking, curious, not sure. She swallows. Home isn't what it was. He nods once, slowly. "War'll do that. Breaks more than buildings." Then, with a softened voice, "You'll find your place again." Anna looks down at her boots. "I'm afraid I won't." Harris studies her for a long, quiet moment. Snow falls softly around them, dissolving on the fabric of his coat. Then he says, "Maybe that's not a bad thing." She lifts her eyes. "Sometimes," he continues, "the person you become is better than the person you were told to be." His words strike her, not like a blow, but like a bell being rung deep within her chest, a sound she can't unhear. Warmth spreads behind her ribs, a fragile, flickering warmth. Before she can reply, a sergeant calls out orders. Harris gives her one last soft smile. "Take care, Anna." He uses her name. She does not remember telling him. The realization startles her and warms her even more. That night she can't sleep. None of them can. The barrack buzzes with fear disguised as excitement, hope tangled with dread. Anna sits on her cot with her diary open across her knees. The lamplight trembles, casting honey, colored shadows across the page. She writes slowly, carefully. "They are sending us home. I should be happy. But the world outside these fences frightens me more than the enemies inside them ever did." Her pencil pauses. She breathes. "I do not know who I will be when I return, but I know who I am not." She closes her eyes, letting the truth settle in her. I am not the girl who believed the posters. I am not the girl who feared the color of a man's skin. I am not the girl who thought kindness was weakness. She sets the pencil down. A soft knock comes at the doorframe. An American guard, one of the black soldiers from the first week, leans in. "Lights out soon," he says gently, Anna nods. He hesitates, then adds, "You ladies be safe out there. Out there." Home isn't safety anymore. Here, strangely, she felt safer than she was ever meant to feel. When he leaves, she slips beneath her blanket. Snow taps lightly against the window, like fingertips drumming out a hesitant farewell. In the distance, she hears music, the Americans playing a soft tune on a harmonica, a soulful melody, slow and deep. The notes drift into the night, weaving through the camp like a memory. Anna closes her eyes. Tomorrow she will leave this place, leave its warmth, its contradictions, its unbearable kindness. But something of it will stay lodged inside her forever, a seed, a question, a quiet truth that glows even in darkness. She whispers into the blanket, voice trembling, "I will never see the world the same way again." Outside, the harmonica plays on, and spring, patient and relentless, keeps melting the snow, and that, she realizes with a shiver, is the most terrifying part.